I ain't gonna lie. All right, so I'm gonna say this. I'm proud and excited to raise a black man. I'm just paranoid of things that he might face that's outside of my control.
Yeah, I really feel like finding out that I was a black boy mom was one of the most exciting things and the most scariest things to find out at the same time.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Definitely talk about this.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, so let me ask you because I remember when we were talking about having kids, and you were like, I want a boy. I don't want a girl. I want a boy."
I do. I did.
Walk me through why do you want and why did you want just boys?
Um, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've always foreseen myself as a boy mom. Like, I love sports. I love basketball. I play basketball. I loved going to your games, and I saw the joy on like your mom's face, or like the moms that would come to like your teammates' games and stuff like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would always see the joy, and I was like, I love this. I want to be Savannah James. I tell people this all the time. Savannah James is, you know what I'm saying?
Is that an
Like,
idol to you? Is she an
I
idol
don't
to you?
have any idols. The
Okay.
Lord said, "Thou shalt have
Got it.
no other god
Okay.
before me."
Okay, churchy. Okay.
But no, no, no. Like I, if that's somebody I say I look up to for sure. Like, as LeBron is your favorite player, does this not make sense? You
No,
know
it
what I'm
definitely
saying?
makes sense.
And
It's
so
crazy.
when I think about like my life, and the other thing was like I always wanted an older brother. I am the oldest of three kids, and it was very difficult where you're looking for a sense of protection as a daughter or a sister, and you have a little brother, right?
Hmm.
At 22, my brother's 22 now. At 22, he has the concept of protection now. You know what I mean? But my sister is about to turn 25.
Right.
By the time
Dang.
this airs, she will be turning 25 tomorrow.
Really?
By the time this airs next week. Um, and I just turned 30. Our brother's 22. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he has the concept of understanding protection now, but I always wanted that growing up to feel like there was somebody who was watching over me. And so in my lifetime, I've always said I want a son first, because if I do have a daughter, I want her to have that level of protection that I always sought after, if that makes sense.
I got you.
And the whole thing of being like a boy mom and being able to go to his games and like all that stuff has always like just been. And not that I wouldn't do it if I had a daughter that was in athletics or into cheer and all that stuff like that, but I just always saw myself as a boy mom.
Do you do you think it has a lot to do with also like provision that a boy may have over his mom, like the care and level of love?
For sure. Even though I don't know, women, we don't know how overbearing it could be
Hmm.
when you first get it. But I love my son. I love, the kisses. I love the hugs. I love the attachment. It can become overbearing, like I said, but, it's everything that I always wanted to have. And then it's like, who is his father going to raise him to be? Like, what level of protection will I have for my son? You know what I mean? What level of covering is he? What are the things that he's going to be able to do? I also wanted to see, like, you were very chivalrous when we met, and that was foreign for me. Like, to this day, I don't open my car door, or you'll call me single. I don't have to take all the groceries in the house or whatever. And sometimes some people say that's small stuff, but I know you learned that from your dad. Like, I've never seen your mom open up a door. I've never seen your mom drive long distance. I've never seen,
Man,
or barely drive at all. Your dad's around, she's not having to do any of those things. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how does that carry on? Because you were so chivalrous, and it was so foreign in my dating pool at the time that it's like, okay, where does this get lost in translation? Is it from the household? Is it based off of what, people are comfortable with their friends saying, or, whatever? And so it's like, well, who will my husband, the man that I'm with, who I know to be, how would he raise a son? How would that level of chivalry, care, protection, respect, honor for a woman transfer now from my husband to my son?
yeah. When when you first said that we were having a boy, I was so happy, and I think for men,
I'm about to say, aren't all men like? Isn't that just your desire to raise or have a son? Like, why is that? Can you kind of walk me through? Because we talked about this when I was pregnant, and you said there's a different level of love between a father and a son and a father and a daughter.
yeah, I just think as far as if we had a daughter, it would be to protect her from the world. But having a son is to prepare him for the world. And when we found out that we were having a son, I was like, I'm excited that one. I think we as men, we have a selfishness about it. It's like, okay, my name gets to be carried on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It gets to be carried on generations after generation. But it was also the fact that I get to raise a young man, a young black man, in a light that I feel like nowadays we're we're missing the mark on black men being in the home and raising black men and being present in their lives. So for me, it was more so like I'm excited to be in his life full time, I had my dad there. I had my dad there through everything, and he taught me so many things that I just want that same experience for my son.
Yeah.
And to see people that honestly I've had friends that they have single moms. You know what I'm saying? They grew up with single moms, so the dichotomy is so different, and their level of care for women is different too because of that. But I was just excited. I'm like, man, I get to raise a black man, but like I said in my soundbite, there is a paranoia there
Right.
because there is so many things that he's going to be faced with when he goes through life that may be in my control, but a lot of it is going to be out of both of our control.
Yeah.
And I already know that you're gonna. I don't know if you're gonna be overprotective. You're not overprotective.
Moms are warriors. Women are warriors, but moms in particular are warriors. You know what I mean? Like on my way home today, I remember we were on the phone and you were changing him and he was coughing and I'm like, is he okay? And you're like, he's just coughing. I'm changing his diaper and I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's a even I think even when you're married to a black man or you're dating a black man, because you understand the state of the world and our ancestry, our history, our black history, I'm sorry, it sucks to say that sometimes when your man is gone too long, you worry about, is he coming back? So when you see, and it has no, like, life has no respect of age, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so it's having to show him how to deal with the police. It's having to show him black people in general. We have to make sure that we're overly respectful, or because you just never know what can come out of a conversation or an argument, or everything like that. And so it does worry me being a black mom, because you want to make sure that you're doing enough in home that makes them secure, that makes them knowledgeable, and makes them able to come home every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course, as a baby, it's easier. A toddler, it's easier. But when you're able to speak, and when you're going to school every day, and when you go to college, when you're dealing with, different types of people, when you get into the real world, when you're 20 and 30, and and then as a mom, you just want to make sure they get to 20 and 30, get to their wedding day. You know what I'm saying? It's all of those things that go through your head when you're a mother to a black son.
How was that feeling? Because we just came from a wedding.
Uh-huh.
How was that feeling when you saw the mother and Sundance? Like,
I cry every
what
time.
what came over you? Explain that emotion that a mother feels in
Like,
that moment.
I feel like when a mom goes to a wedding and you have a son and you see the mother son dance, it's like I get weary and weepy every single time, because it's just like, oh my God, I can't wait to dance with my son. But realizing that, like, that means my son is grown, my son is married, life has lived, and I'm probably like 60.
Jesus, dang! I didn't even think about that. 60? Are
60.
we gonna be that old?
No, like 50. He'll be 20.
Well, it depends on
Like 55.
I was say it depends on when he actually.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he got
decides.
married at 25, we'd be 55. Or like 50, 54, 55.
Wow. Dang, that's so crazy to think
You
about.
know what I'm saying? But anyway, it warms my heart because I'm a mom to a son, and like I think those are like those dances are so sweet. They're so genuine because it's literally that moment where he does leave and cleave into his wife. It's kind of like a last dance at that. You know what I mean? Of course, because he's starting his family and leaving yours. You know what I mean? It's not like a loss or anything like that. But what happens when you do get married is that you are supposed to leave and cleave to your family. You go create your thing. So if I like to have Christmas dinners at our home for our whole life and we host Christmas every time and
I know you're
our
such an
kids,
entertainer too
you
at
know what I'm
that.
saying, our kids are supposed to come home to this house that we've built and that they've grew up in and bring their families and all that, but you now going to her in-laws house or your in-laws house, or you going to, y'all gonna do it at y'all house. Those things change when you have your own family.
Do y'all think about that? Is it like a not a sadness but like a bittersweet type of thing?
It's definitely bittersweet. I just saw one of my friend's mom. He's a guy recently married, and literally his mom put on there like, "I'm an empty nester. Like none of my kids are here, none of my grandkids are here, and I don't know what to do with myself." Like, and she, married and all that stuff like that. But it's like you build this life around your family as a mother. You know what I mean? And not to say that you don't want to spend your time with your spouse, but nigga, I built this life and I've been serving these kids for this long. Because I think there's a different level of service and care in motherhood than there is in wifehood. You know what I mean?
I can see
There's
that.
a
I can see
different
that.
type, not level, but there's a different type. There's different things that I cater to for my husband than I do for my child. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's a lot more. You don't think about it. You going from changing somebody's diaper, walking them to school. Like I didn't walk you to school, nigga. Like, does
No,
that
you
make
definitely
sense?
did. No, it makes perfect sense.
You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of like a bittersweet because you're like, I have spent all of this time building this person up for the world. Now they're in the world, and I feel like I'm left missing a piece of my world
Yeah.
because it's been, with you for so long.
Let's talk about. I would say let's talk about the presence of or the importance of having a two person household. Parent household when raising your son. Do you think it's important? Have you seen differences with young men, young black men that haven't had that kind of dynamic growing up?
I think growing up with two parents was good for me, but my parents were the two that came from one parent households. So I
Okay.
seen the dynamic of what they were trying to create based off of what they had, if that makes sense, right? So my mom grew up with her stepfather, and my dad didn't grow up with a dad at all. And so I've watched how my father was parenting or his level of presence was, because you want to be there, but it also has a hue of your childhood trauma of or what you wish you had. I think when you grow up with a father in the household as a man, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when men grow up with their father in the household, they're not trying to be something. It's either you're trying to measure up or be half of what those posts, like if I could be half of what my father was, you know what I mean, or you're taking, there's some things that you're not going to like, that you can have an incredible father, but there's some things I'm sure that you didn't want to take from how you saw your father or what he was doing. And so I think the thing is, you're not trying to find the model to model after when you do grow up with that, because you can see it all the time. I think what happens when you're missing that is that you're trying to figure out what to do. And then for women, and this is probably a woman's flaw, is
Okay.
that we're not as probably gracious in that level of understanding of what he does and doesn't know, what we expect him to know, because you're a dad. And I don't know if the fatherly instincts connect the same way motherly instincts do. And I'm not saying they don't. You correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But
Instincts into what though?
I'm
Like,
just saying though, like you, at the end of the day, I didn't grow up knowing how to be a mom, but when I became one,
right? No,
everything
yeah,
changes,
it's definitely the same. It's definitely
right?
the same
And
for
so,
for
but what
dad.
I'm saying is, are there things that you think about in raising him based off of how you were raised?
I think about you know the first time. I think about how to teach him how to protect himself, how to move in the world, because there's gonna be some things that come his way, and we'll get into that. But I think about uh, his first time, you know, with girls. I think about all these different things. Like, what am I gonna be? The example that I'm setting for him. So that getting up early and things like that, like I'm doing that now. But I want to continue doing that because I want him to see one, work ethic, discipline, and everything else. Like I want him to see that stuff and know, like, okay, this is how I can operate if I want to get a certain result. So I think about so many different things, especially when, before I had him. I remember when I told you, like, yo, I didn't have health care insurance before we had our son. So I started thinking about so many different things, like how can I, one, be better, but how can I look out for him in such a way that not to take care of him when he's older, but to give him some sort of a leg up, because there's so many things that out of his control he's gonna have to deal with being black. You know what I'm saying? And when I was growing up, my parents didn't let me go to the area school. Why is that? They wanted to give me a better advantage in life, so they put me in all these different schools that were either a private school or they were just way across town, but it was in a better neighborhood with better education, and people took it more serious, and that's unfortunate, because why can't I go to a school amongst our peers?
Right.
But that was in order to give me that leg up. So I think about stuff like that, like, am I going to have to do that for my son? And the environment that we create, does that dictate the type of life he'll have after he leaves our house? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about that, but I also thought about what if I don't set the right example? What if he resents us or me or you? You know what I'm saying?
For the leg up.
For the leg up, or just in general, you just never know.
Yeah,
you never know the trauma that you give your kid.
And that's the crazy part, is like, I think understanding that we're people too and we're learning. I do think that as millennials, though, I think we're doing a lot more of the self work to be able to not place trauma on a child. Like, one of the things that I've studied is the Montessori thing. So like, even with like the play kits, and like, we try to do our best to allow him his independence as well. Like, I can't fix everything for you, even though you're one. I can't do everything for you. I can't show you how everything works. I have to allow you to critically think. I have to allow you to problem solve. And, sometimes you think that you're doing that too soon, because he's a baby, or like, if you fall, all right.
Yeah.
Or, when he's sliding off the bed and it's like, all right, I'm going to watch what you do, versus try to, oh my gosh, be careful, be safe. Because it's like, I want you to be careful. I want you to be safe, but I want you to also trust yourself. I want you to learn. I want you to be fearless. I want you to be unapologetic. I want you to have, it's like a double-edged sword and everything, but it's like, you don't know how to parent at the end of the day. We're learning how to parent every single day.
100%. And
so it's like, how can we instill on our child that, hey, mommy and daddy need grace, and we got to give you grace too. It's understanding, though, that every day is different, and we don't know what the world has changed since we were children. The world has changed since we were in college. The world has changed now that I'm 30. You're 29. I'll let you hold on to it for 5 more minutes.
That's right.
But what is life going to be like when he's in high school? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can we, it's like, are we prepared for that?
I would say right now, no, we're not. Like, we're not prepared because we don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't know where life is going to be. Even, he'll be, what, when do they start preschool?
I think like 4.
At 4? So he'll be going to a school, actual school. He'll be around, he'll be around people, and especially nowadays, it's so weird, this fickle stuff, COVID and all that other stuff, COVID babies.
Yeah.
But it's like, when is the time to acclimate him to people?
So I guess my question is, how is it growing up as a black man? Like what are the things that you are on high alert about for our son because you grew up as a black man?
Um, I always so like I tell you, you're going to wake up early, get something over on me. Meaning, like I'm always looking over my shoulder. It's not that I'm paranoid. It's that I understand that some parts of society can see me as a threat, and I want to bring that threat to a halt. Like, okay, if I'm going somewhere, if I'm going out, I'm completely aware and alert of where I am, who's around me, and who's a block ahead of me. You know what I'm saying? Is that having that street smarts that, growing up in Baltimore, you had to have some street smarts because we we were around drugs and all this other stuff. Like I was around that stuff, and my parents didn't know that. My parents thought that they was in this great neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? But when I go out and play basketball, I'm surrounded around stuff that is not conducive for any man to be grown up under. You know what I'm saying? But so one is that growing up, I had this one story. So it was me and my friends. We had just got done playing basketball, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. And we always went to the store to actually, get something to drink or get some food and stuff like that before we went home. So this particular night, it's a group of like 6 or 7 of us, and we going up this hill, going to 7-Eleven, and all of a sudden there's a helicopter that starts circling over top of us, and then all of a sudden that big shiny light that happens.
Yeah.
That big shiny light beams down on us, and all of a sudden we see a cop car swerve into another lane so say the car is coming this way.
Okay.
Coming down on the opposite side of the street. He swerved, made a U-turn, and pulled up right in front of us and put the beams and lights on us and everything, the sirens. Then another car comes and does the same exact thing, and now it's a car facing in front of me. There's a cop car behind me. Literally 3 to 4 cop cars showed up within the matter of 10 seconds. And then we have a helicopter over top of us. And we're like, what is going on? And they come up to us saying, show me your ID. Without literally not giving them Miranda rights and all that. Because honestly, we don't even know our rights at this point. And that's another thing. We got to know our rights, especially growing up as a black man. You got to know your rights and stuff like that. But they're not reading us Miranda rights. They telling us, hey, give me your ID. What's in your book bag? Give me your book bag. So I'm handing them my book bag, but in this time I'm having a calm demeanor. I'm nice. I'm not playful, but I'm not too serious. I'm not posing a threat. But these are things I was taught. I was taught this. Like I was taught how to move and act, and especially when police come into the situation.
Right.
So you don't become a threat. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why are we look like we on Fox News right now?
Right.
And they were like, we just got word that a group of kids just robbed a gas station. So we're like, what? We didn't have anything on us. Literally, they're looking up our book bags, had basketball, shoes, and stuff like that. And I'm telling the officer, like, we ain't did nothing. We ain't do nothing. We're headed to a store, you know what I'm saying, like that. And come to find out, once they let us go, once they found out it wasn't us, because this all happened within 20 minutes, they finally let us go because we was on the side of the street like some criminals, you know what I'm saying? And we were not. And by the time we get to the actual gas station that we were going to, we had dapped up like the homies that we knew. These were the dudes that actually robbed the place.
Oh, wow.
They were our homeboys, and we had no idea. And they were in a group just like us. But you don't know because you're getting racially profiled at this point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that, I fear for my son. He's going to experience something like this. And it's not because of the neighborhood he's in. It's because it's the color of his skin. You know what I'm saying? It's you're going to have a run in some sort of how with the police or with authority. And I got to be able to teach, and which I am. You know what I'm saying? I'll be teaching him how to move and how to think throughout that, because that could be either traumatized or you can act out and you
Yeah.
can get yourself killed that way. You know what I'm saying?
No
So
facts.
when that happened, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'll never forget that. But that's part of the paranoia that I have with raising a black man. It's like this stuff is out of his control, and he has to learn this now. He has to learn this before it happens, which is on us and on our family, on his environment to teach him these things because it can't just come from us.
Do you feel like as you elevate in life, because we have the saying and belief that the ceiling of your life should be the floor for your children. So as we've decided to ascend and elevate our lifestyle and elevate the way that our families live, do you feel like that's a detriment? Because when you do this stuff, you do live in different neighborhoods, and you do better. Do you feel like that puts him in more danger? You know what I mean?
And I think in some cases it can. So because in middle school, I didn't go to my county school or my area school. I went to a school that was like 30, 40 minutes out the way. So every day I had to get up and catch the bus at 6 a.m. I had to be at the bus stop at 6 a.m. to get to school by 8. And it was going into a white neighborhood. So I'm going to a school that's in a white neighborhood, predominantly white school. And of course, I'm not the only black kid. Obviously, there is black people that go to the school, but I am in a space where I stick out like a sore thumb. So in a sense, you're not in danger, but you're different,
Yeah.
and everyone knows it. You know what I'm saying? And this could go one or two ways. You know what I'm saying? You could be the person that sticks out like a sore thumb, where they want to pick on you or pin you to something that you didn't do and stuff like that. That stuff can actually happen. I've seen it happen, just from being in those type of situations, those schools. So to your question, it's not more dangerous, but it can be. It can be way more dangerous because you're not amongst your peers anymore. You're not amongst the people that look just like you anymore. So now you got to be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah.
You got to be that much more alert and that much more careful when you're growing up, in a whole different space.
No, that makes sense. I think that's why I think that was one of the main reasons why I actually went to the school we went to, is because it's like I knew in the real world, Britt, like you're not about to be around all these black people. That's not real life.
Yeah, exactly. This
And
is not real life.
somebody thought that was crazy for me to say, like I went to a PWI because I wish I went to a HBCU. Like if I had to run it back,
when we
like I
run that
definitely
back,
wish
man.
I went to a HBCU for sure, and
Yeah,
not
stop.
just for the people, but more so for the culture, for the experience. But one of the reasons why was understanding that I didn't actually know how to deal with other people, other races, other situations when you are the minority, because in the real world we're the minority, and so I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever you want to call it, I had to insert myself in a place to understand that world.
Yeah.
Versus just, just feeling like, oh well, this is what we do and this is how we do. Like my mom was the poor black kid, the project kid that was in the newspaper of having the great grades and getting the full ride to the PWI.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So one, I did have a lot to live up to. Because that's where my family comes from. You know what I'm saying? My dad was the first in his whole family. He's the youngest of 7 kids. He's the first to ever go to and graduate from college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, my aunts, my uncle, my mom, all her siblings went to school, got masters, all that stuff like that. They did that. So this all derives from my grandmother growing up and them growing up in the project. So it's like, what do I have to do something because my family fought for this. You know what I'm saying? My mother was not supposed to be at Vanderbilt University in the freaking 80s. I don't know, 90s. I don't know.
I don't know what that was.
The 80s, early 80s. She's not supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to go to Tennessee State University at that time and get a master's degree and be the head of this and the head of that for the government. Like you don't. That's not where we're supposed to be. And so I understood that that's where my parents were. But do I actually know? Because I grew up in a black neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, do I know how I'm going to live my life now? Luckily, we became entrepreneurs and were able to create our lifestyle. But I worked for the government for 5 years before this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so It's trying to figure out like how much of a leg up, or like what are you doing? Is it a disservice? Is it an advantage? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? But I will say shout out to Black people, Black millennials, because I do feel like a lot more of us are focusing on generational wealth, from building it for ourselves to be able to. We're creating more of a community than just being able to move into a community. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
we have millennial people. I mean, we're 30 now, so a lot of us are late 20s and early mid 30s now, but we're creating communities versus it's not just one of us that's rich. Like it's not one of us that's getting wealthy, one of us that's a multimillionaire. It's now becoming a collective of people.
Yeah.
So now we're raising our families in that space together. One, so there is their own support, but there's a community. So I will say shout out to Black people, shout out to Black millennials, because I think we are really changing things too.
Yeah. Change
To
the
where
narrative.
to where we're not the minority in those spaces, to not being the sore thumbs or the people sticking out because we're different, because there's now a communal based situation.
Have you seen like a difference in going back to like being in the home and having the dynamic of two people in a home? Because we already know systematically, like men were taken out of the homes in the 60s and 70s, by incarceration, mass incarceration. So that was on purpose to, one, now you have so many single mothers raising Black men and raising men when they shouldn't have to do that alone. But that created a whole whirlwind of, I don't want to say like the same thing happening in the next generation, but essentially it's like broken homes now. It becomes a thing. You know what I'm saying? This poverty and stuff like that becomes a thing, and that's where it starts from. It's systematically done. But have you seen a difference in a man, how he treats a woman or thinks when he's raised by just a woman without a man in the house
I've
versus
definitely seen
somebody
the
with
difference. I've
the
definitely
two?
seen the difference for sure.
What have you seen that's been different?
In dating men that had grown up with just their mother, the difference is the level. It's like you care about your mom, but you don't know how to care for a woman. Does that make sense? Like you love your mother. That like sons are going to kill for their mom.
Yeah.
But just because you would kill for your mother doesn't mean that you would treat a woman differently,
Right.
because you weren't able to see the dynamic of relationship versus the dynamic of a mom and a son. That's a parent to child relationship versus how she would how she her dynamic with a man. And I think the other thing is when now she's dating and you're experiencing different people, well, now what is the visual that you're getting? And this is not no shade or nothing like that, but that's what my personal experience is like. Well, some of the guys are that, and it might not even be dating, some of them are just friends. When I look at that as well, what I also have seen is like you're okay with running through multiple women because you saw your mom with multiple men.
It's deep.
You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
talk
Like
about it.
you always saw people in and out, so it doesn't necessarily feel. And it kind of sounds crazy because it was her, not them. But if you always see a man around, what does it show you?
Yeah, it's like you don't see
You don't
the
see a
care.
long term. It's not even that. It's also the consistency and the understanding that making relationship choices and being with somebody in marriage and dating, whatever, is a daily choice. It's the same way we talk about dying to flesh daily, or to serve
Fact.
Christ.
Yeah.
You have to die to yourself daily to be in a marriage. Like you are choosing service on a daily basis. You're not choosing, to just be around somebody. You have to choose to love this person. You have to choose to care for this person. You have to choose to respect them.
Yeah.
And so if that's not something that you see, you know what I'm saying? It's something that you might be taught, but if it's not what you see, then how can you operate moving past that? And so that's, kind of the dynamic that I've seen, from personally dating or for some friends of mine. The difference I saw with you, because you were the first person I ever had been with that had grew up in in a household with the father.
Really? Wow.
What I also noticed from that is a lot of your friends are the same way. When I look at your closest friends, y'all all have the same family dynamic. So the way that y'all treat women, and then of course, now this is not to say, disclaimer, all these guys have been men before. And what women don't talk about is, when I was inquiring about you and people were saying, oh, he get around, or he messed with this girl, he messed with that girl. And I'm like, but he's single. Like, what am I going to do about that? That has nothing to do with me. How is he in a relationship?
Right.
Oh, when he with somebody, he with them.
This call. Jesus. You okay? You want some water, baby?
No spit flew down my throat.
Ew.
Okay.
I was gonna say, Britt down and get back to life on this.
Talk about. But shit, I don't forgot what I was talking about.
You would say that when I'm in a relationship, I'm in
Oh,
one.
yeah. So when he's in a relationship, I'm like, all right, cool. So you know how to treat somebody because of the dynamic you seen in something. And then it's also like knowing that you grew up with sisters. It's not even just the mom and dad. It's like, how does he treat the women in his family?
Mm-hmm.
Men are generally protective,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a different level of respect that I've seen amongst men that have a good example in front of them.
I could agree. I could agree. I think it's because we've seen commitment,
That's the word I was looking
and that's the hard part. Like, if a man is really, if he's taken back or not even privy to commitment, it's probably because he's never seen somebody commit to somebody else. Like, he's never seen somebody commit to a woman.
Now, as an advocate, I don't like the devil's advocate thing, but a different perspective is it
Okay.
also can be too much pressure on a man if he does grow up with a father in the household,
To live
because you feel like, or the commitment is like, imagine seeing, like, you see your dad with your mom for 50 years, 30 years, 20 years. And now every relationship, especially as we get older, the older you get, the more like commitment it has to be. It's like, I know the girls that I have that are friends, friends that are my female friends. It's like, if they're not married, if they're not engaged, all their mindsets are on the next person I date. I need to be like, it has to be marriage minded.
Right.
And so the older y'all are getting,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you notice how women are thinking, you grew up with a father in the house, you probably thinking like, nigga, this is a real commitment. Like, you probably think every woman you date, because most women are marriage minded, especially as we get older, that I know I'm going to have to be with this girl for the next 20 years, and I might not be waiting for 20 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we were just having a conversation. We went back to school for homecoming with one of our friends, and I'm like, well, from the base of the conversation where he's like, I don't really know if I'm ready to commit.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know your daddy.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
your parents are still married. So that's what made me think about it, was that conversation just now. I thought back to that conversation, and it's like, although you know commitment, your parents are still married.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You grew up with him in the household. Nothing has changed. But is that also a detriment to now, as a black man, see the commitment and feel like that's too much pressure?
It could. I could see how you. I could see how you would think that, because now it's like, do I gotta live up to how my dad is or how my dad was with my mom, and sometimes that could be a pressure there. Like, I don't know if I can be the husband that my dad was, or you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. It's always the comparison thing.
And that's why I said it, because I don't want it to sound as if because you don't grow up with a father. Because I know, my father's a great husband, a great father, and
Yeah.
he didn't grow up with one.
And
he
I
didn't
think
have the example.
It motivated him to be.
So it's
you know
like
what I'm saying? That's
both
another
aspects
thing.
of them having one, not having one. It's your response to that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because there are some men that don't grow up with a father, and that is your motivator to, this is what I wish I had. You know, when they talk about, in leadership or in entrepreneurship, or it's like, be the leader that you wish you had, or be the mentor you wish you had, and be the you wish you had. And so it's like, is it for that man now? I'm trying to be what I wish I had, the person that I wish I had. Or we was watching Kev on Stage and Kirk Franklin, and he was talking about he was so playful with his children because he never got a chance to have a father. So now it's like, my wife feel like I'm a kid because I'm playing too much, because I wish I had a dad.
Yeah, that did that when I was.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be what I wanted to have. So I think they're both aspects. Like, one is not better than the other. One does not have more pros, and one does not have more cons. Because I do think that having a father having a father that you grow up with could provide way too much pressure, or you might not look. You might value commitment so much more
I
that you can't just play.
I would be interested in seeing these statistics behind like somebody that grew up with or without a father in the home, and seeing like their um I guess the marriage rate, the success rate
Yeah.
of marriage and stuff like that. But I also think I want to prioritize values to my son and honoring women, because I think that's also missing. I think right now we're in a time where we're not valuing each other enough.
Yeah.
Black men aren't valuing women, and black women ain't valuing men the same as they used to. And I think that's going to be the most important. It's like, bro, this woman this woman can give life to somebody one day, or this is somebody's daughter, this is somebody's mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, honoring the fact that y'all are different but are important, and bring so much value to your life, that I don't need no woman culture, or I don't need no man culture. Is crazy to me, because you're gonna need somebody. You need a companion. You need somebody that's in your corner, and typically it's the person that you're closest to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's real.
So I want to prioritize values in his life, like, bro, understanding discipline and having discipline. Because somebody asked me that before, like, how do you stay with your woman so long? How have you stayed with your woman so long? I said, bro, it's discipline. Love's a choice. Marriage is a choice.
Yeah.
Love, love can get you all but so far. It's also having discipline and understanding, honoring my woman, and understanding that this is my best friend. I would never want to hurt my best friend.
Yeah.
I would never want to do anything to my best friend that I wouldn't want to have done to me. And that's, I think, what's missing in our culture right now too. And teaching him that value principle.
What do you feel like? What do you feel like excites you most? Because I know there's so much fear in what the world can bring him.
Mm-hmm.
But what excites you the most about raising a black boy, black man?
Raising somebody that of value, you know what I'm saying? Raising somebody that a good person. Uh, Having somebody, one, carry your name, and hopefully he plays a sport. He plays the sport that I love, which is why I said that sometimes it's a selfish thing, but it's also to know that, okay, my genes are in somebody that literally you can see their personality sometimes in you.
Yeah.
Like, I get excitement in seeing that. Like, yo, he has the same personality as
Oh my
me or
gosh.
you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
When he was on the dance floor at the wedding,
yeah, going crazy.
looking just like you.
I'm like, stuff like that excite me, and the opportunity, I think is I think it's a badge of honor, and I think it's an opportunity to formulate some, not formulate somebody's thought process, but bring a person into this world that brings value to this world.
Yeah.
I take pride in that. Like, and it's my son. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that it's what we've always wanted. We wanted a boy. You know what I'm saying? And God bless us with a boy, and to have that, I'm excited. I'm excited to be a dad, to continue being a dad.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the mother-son dance at the wedding, I'm excited about hearing his wife's family talk well of how he was raised. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a that they're elated to have him take their child, take their daughter and create a family with her. You know what I mean? I think that shows a testament to who we are, and like you said, the values that you instill. Like, I love the personality and who he will become, and like you said, what value he'll bring the world, because I think we're focused right now so much on purpose and what value we bring to the world, and so it's making sure that we show him that you have purpose and there's something within you that God gave you to be able to give and serve people in this world, and what that's going to be, and how can we help you cultivate it, how can we help you be that, and what can we take from what we've learned in the last 10 years together,
Man,
and help you accelerate these processes. I'm pretty sure we're on life lessons at this point. It's giving life lessons.
It is giving life lesson. Do you have one?
I think that's what it is. It's like it's fearful, but there's so much joy in creating a person. Um, we have so much opportunity. I think millennials are changing the world. I think we're changing the way our children are raised. I think we're creating more well-rounded people, both boys and girls. I think we're creating well-rounded people who are able to think for themselves, that are able to
Yeah.
speak up, that are comfortable with not controversy, but being confident in sharing opinions. And it's okay if they differ. It's okay if they're not the same, and it's okay for us to agree to disagree. It's okay for us to
Right.
compromise and grow. I think we're so focused on those things. We're focused on being purposeful. We're focused on service. And I think because millennials are focused on that as individuals right now, we're going to make the best. I'm not saying that any other parents are bad, but I think we're going to shape a different generation as parents, and the next generation of our children are going to live life differently because of the work that we have put in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think my life lesson is not to save him, but to prepare him always. Prepare him for the life ahead. Prepare, and it's not in a bad way. In good ways too. You know what I'm saying? Just prepare him for one, to be a young man in the world that brings value. To be a husband one day, to be a father one day, if he wants to be that. You know what I'm saying? And not putting a label on him. And that's the whole thing. Like that's the part of it, is like not trying to shape you into what I want you to be, but allowing you to be your own person, and find your way through life, but also be your guide, be your help, and teach him the things that have been taught to me through my father, the values, the you know, how to change the tires, all the things. You know what I'm saying? Just the little things that help you become a man in society, going forward. So it's to prepare him, not to save him. Not every day, at least. I'll be there to save him
Every
whenever he
time.
needs me, every time.
Every time.
But my job is to prepare him.
I love that.
So I love him. I love you.
I love you too.
You know, and here's the thing, like, because I tell you all the time, I say thank you for giving me my son. Thank you for birthing my son. Thank you for being the mother to my son. Because so many men get it wrong, and they wish they could go back.
Mm.
So many men choose the wrong partner, and they wish that they could change it. You know, and it's not that they wish they didn't have a child. They wish they just had it with somebody else. And I like to honor you, because I knew I was having children with the right person, with the right human being, with the right thought process, with everything. And I'm so glad that you are the mother of my son, and we get to do this thing together.
Thank you, baby.
You're welcome. So I love you. I love him.
I love you too.
Let's go see our son.
This has been another episode.
This has been
It's been a good one.
This has been another episode. A good one. Good conversation. Great conversation. And hopefully somebody learned or be able to have a conversation too.
I love it. Well, listen, we love you guys. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget.
Yes, yes.
I'm your host, Brittany Garrison. You can follow me at Brittany Donnell.
And you can follow me, Malcolm_Garrison, 2_Garrison.
And you can follow the show at So Let's Talk About It podcast. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate. And if you're
Review.
listening on Apple Podcasts, rate and review.
Yes.
Because we about to take this thing to another level.
We out.
See y'all in the next episode.
See y'all.